welcome to the breakfast show on Faith FM with Skafy and Elliot. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts.
You're listening all across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 depending on where you are, or you can listen to us through our Faith FM app anywhere in the world.
And today's Thursday, the 28th of May, 2026. I am in the studio with my bro, Elliot. Good morning to you, Elliot.
Good morning, Skafy.
And we also have producer Shell today. Good morning to you, producer Shell.
Good morning.
All right, let's start, my friend. We have a great show lined up today. I'm actually quite excited. We're going to be talking about whales, falcons, snakes, baby bear cubs, and a bunch of other stuff.
All right.
Yes, so wait and see. We're going to be talking about Christians handling poisonous snakes as a sign of their faith. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
Well, today you will.
Okay, that sounds like it'll be interesting.
We'll see if it's biblical or not. But before we get into any of that, my friend, I actually wanted to share with you an incident that happened yesterday that I'm praising God for.
Okay.
Yesterday was a busy day for me. And one of the things that I am helping to organize is the food for the greatest Faith FM event happening next week.
Oh.
Actually, this week. This week, at 6 o'clock on Friday in Currumbong, New South Wales.
Okay.
Danny Milenkov, the presenter of the Looking Up show, he's going to be presenting his now acclaimed series, A World on the Brink, Finding Peace in Uncertain Times.
Wow.
So that's going to be on Friday, 6 p.m., and then over the weekend as well, Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon, 6 p.m. And there is going to be a free dinner included.
Oh.
Now, the part of the free dinner included is that the who's providing the free dinner is Food Pharmacy.
Oh, really?
Yes, Food Pharmacy, which is the restaurant that my wife runs. And she commissioned me to transport some of the food that needed to be stored at the churches, which is going to be at the location, at their fridge and freezer area.
Okay.
I must say that the smell coming from the trays as I was transporting them was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, can I just open that, rip it off apart, and just eat everything by myself and not let anything to anyone? We're getting for 120 people.
Okay.
But turns out that I needed to transport, it was a lot of food and deliciously looking food. There's like one big pot with a tofu casserole, which is like, whoa. It was like, man, this must have been given a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
But there's a problem. I called the church and where the event is going to be held, and I said, hey, can I have access to the church? I need to drop off some food at the refrigerator.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the freezer. And they said, sorry, Skafy, there's nobody at the church. Called in too late. I can help you like tomorrow, tomorrow morning, like 8 a.m. If you need to, it's fine. I said, no, I actually need it kind of for now because it's food, it's perishable. Like I need it like urgently. Said, let's see what we can do. And but I had no response. I called the pastor of the church, and he was in a visit as well. He couldn't help me straight away. But I said, no, I'm just going. I'm going there, and I'm going to wait. And look, I'm going by faith. And I went there, and the church was all locked. But then I said, you know what? What if I just try to pull the doors? And I pulled the doors of the function center, and one of the doors just opened by itself. I mean,
really?
No. I pulled it, but it was open.
It was unlocked.
It was unlocked.
Wow.
Either someone left it there and forgot, or, which I think is my favorite explanation, the angel of the Lord went ahead of me. He opened the doors that needed to be opened. So I went inside of the kitchen, and then I left all the food where it needed to.
That's awesome.
So I was praising the Lord so much because we just spoke about that episode in the Bible where remember when the young man lost the axe head that fell into the river? And got saved because, alas, my master, this was borrowed. And Elisha did a miracle. He cut a piece of wood, he chucked it in the water, and then the axe head was floating. I felt that God was caring for me just like that. Like, he totally saved me.
That's awesome.
Out of a big trouble and opened a door that was absolutely locked. And I was just praising the Lord for that. And of course, I did lock it up properly after I left.
Nice. That's so
Isn't it
awesome.
good when God
Yeah.
saves you? I mean, from those small little troubles that you have.
Yeah, when God pulls through like that.
Yeah,
That's
and I
awesome.
think, look, so not only the food is going to be great, but the food has the blessing of God now. It was supposed to be, otherwise it would have spoiled.
Yeah. There you go. That's awesome.
All right, that's my gratitude today. What about you?
I am actually thankful for, now this is funny, the things on the road, like the little reflective bumps. I don't know exactly what they're called. Here,
Yeah,
let
the
me look
reflective bumps in the road. Yeah, I know them very well. And so does
Just
my car
reflectors, I
tires.
think. I'm
I
not
think
sure. Yeah.
reflectors,
They're just
yeah.
reflectors.
Okay, they're called, this is what they're called. Raised reflective pavement markers or cat's eyes.
Okay.
Oh,
is
cat size
interesting.
is much shorter.
Cat's
Let's
eyes
run
is a
with
lot
that one.
shorter.
Yeah, I think I need an acronym.
I'm
for the first
very
name.
thankful for cat's eyes because yesterday when I was driving here, it was so foggy. I was like, man, I cannot see 100 meters in front of me. Like it was very, very foggy when I was coming here. But because of those cat's eyes, because of those raised markers, I'm like, oh, well, I can see where the road's going.
Yeah, praise
Like
God.
you pretty much can't see. It was so crazy. It's like the foggiest morning I think I've ever
It was so
experienced
foggy,
here
yeah.
in Newcastle. So foggy. And then I was like, okay, well, at least I could see where the road is because I couldn't see the lines, but I could see these reflectors. So I was like, okay, praise the Lord. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'd be going straight off the road.
What a great invention, I must say. All right, Elliot, in today's show, we are going to be talking about when God restores what was lost. In our first segment, then we're going to be looking at a rescue dog that rescued his owner. That's going to be
Okay.
your story. My story is going to be about Robert Kennedy Jr.'s snake handling stunt.
Right.
Yes, and other stunts that he has made over the years. We're going to have an interview with John Hammond today. He's an Asian Aid volunteer. He's going to be sharing with us why he ever got involved with Asian Aid. And finally, at our 8 o'clock, in our encounter with God, the law and the gospel. What's the connection between the two? This is the Bible study that our friend Alex is going to lead to us.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Your friends Skafy and Elliot and producer Shell. And it is time for the very first quiz question of the morning, this morning. So producer Shell, what is the first quiz question you've got for us?
It is a Bible or not? Is this phrase in the Bible?
Ooh, I like these ones.
These ones are fun.
Bible
50-50.
or not?
It's a 50-50
And if-
chance.
50
And if it's
chance,
not
that's
from the
right.
Bible, well, I'll try to see if I can figure out where it's from.
Yes, so this
Yeah,
is
okay.
a common phrase that we are all familiar with, and we have done some of these in the past. So does this one originate from the Bible?
Okay. All right.
Are you
Well,
ready, for it?
Yep.
Okay.
Drum roll.
I actually have that sound effect. Where is it? This
Wow.
too shall pass.
Ooh,
This is an interesting one.
this too shall pass.
Is it in the Bible or not? Write down your answer. Text in to 0491 064 669. Bible or not? Is this phrase in the Bible? I have one correct answer and one incorrect answer in the studio. I'm not going to say until later who's got it.
Okay.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, so the phrase is, this too shall pass.
Yeah, I said one thing. Mr. Elliot said another thing. And Gandalf the Grey said another thing. He says, "Thou shalt not pass."
That's true. Oh, that's funny.
Who
very
does not remember that one in The Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. I am really curious to know if this is a Bible or not. So text in. If you're Team Skafy and you think that it's not in the Bible, you can text not to 0491 064 669. If you're Team Elliot, though,
Yeah.
0491 064 669. Who is going to be right in that?
I vote join Team Elliot. That's what I
Okay.
reckon.
I know. Look, I'm just going to say, look at the track records.
It's a 50-50 here.
50-50.
so it's hard to say.
Look,
We'll
I'm not
see.
say don't follow me because I might be lost here as
That's
well.
right.
You know? So, I once saw a guy driving around in town with a sticker and saying, "Don't follow me, I'm lost." The bumper sticker. So
Yeah.
that's great.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Have you ever lost something, Elliot, only for at later times for God to restore it back to what it was in before, if not better?
Have I said that one more time? Have I ever lost something?
Have you
and God
ever
restored
lost
it?
something, but then God restored it back to you with interest?
Ooh.
Well, today's story is going to be all about that.
Okay.
So check it out, because if that has not happened to you, it might have happened in the future. And I think it's just like a beautiful picture of God that we have in that story. So we are going to continue our journey through the life of Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 8.
Okay.
And we are going to see here what happens, because we are going to see two familiar faces today. The Shunammite woman, the lady that was wealthy, that built a small little room for Elisha at the second story of her house. Remember that lady
Yeah.
that had a son, and
Yeah.
the son died, and Elisha helped the son to get back to life. The other person that is also a old friend of ours is Gehazi. Remember Gehazi?
Yeah.
The guy who became a leper because he coveted Naaman's goods and,
Yeah.
and his rewards. Well, he's going to show up at that story as well.
Okay.
So you have a little bit of a throwback, flashback,
Interesting.
kind of a classic story here. All right. So can you please read for us from verse 1? And then if I think that there's something interesting there for comment, I'll just ask you to pause so we can talk about it.
All right. So it says in verse 1, Then Elisha spoke to the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, Arise and go, you and your household, and stay wherever you can, for the Lord has called for a famine, and furthermore it will come upon the land for 7 years.
Let's just pause here for a second.
All right.
So we're going to look at the setting here. Elisha comes to this woman who had shown him so much kindness over the years. At this point in time, he had already restored her. No, Elisha had already resurrected. God has resurrected through Elijah the son back to the lady.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, there's going to be a big famine coming up. And the interesting thing is, how long was the famine going to be?
7 years.
7 years. So remember that when Elisha asked for the double portion of Elijah's spirit,
Yeah.
everything is in double portion here. Not only he did twice as many miracles, but even the famine is lasting twice as long as before. Because remember, the drought before was 3.5 years.
Interesting.
Now we're looking at a 7-year drought, famine.
Yeah, wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
So he said, hey, it's going to be a famine, so get all that you have, you and your household. There's an interesting thing. What about her husband? Why didn't he say, arise and go with your husband and your household?
I don't know. Is his husband or is her husband not there anymore?
Yeah, it's very likely that the husband now, who was already advanced in years, he's
Yeah.
no longer there anymore.
Okay.
He probably died. So let's see what happens. Verse 2.
Okay, so the woman arose and did according to the saying of the man of God, and she went with her household and dwelt in the land of the Philistines 7 years. It came to pass at the end of the 7 years that the woman returned from the land of the Philistines, and she went to make an appeal to the king for her house and for her land. Then the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, Tell me, please, all the great things Elisha has done. Now it happened as he was telling the king how he had restored the dead to life, that there was the woman whose son he had restored to life, appealing to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha restored to life.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second. There's a few things happening here.
Yeah.
So 7 years passes. The woman returns to her land. And what does she find?
That she doesn't have her house.
Yeah, someone
or
was
her land
occupying
anymore.
her land.
Yeah.
He was left there. Someone thought, finders keepers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe the king himself had, this appropriated, the property because, well, there's nobody there. We better use it for someone else. But the reality is she came back to her home, to her things, to her land. And look, we don't really know what is love for the land like these ancient people did, even Middle Eastern people. Because for us, land, like you buy and sell.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I'm actually very curious. I'm going to ask this question here to you also, listening friend. If you're listening to us today, how long have you been living in the same property? Or your family, if you have been living in your family. Because I find, let's see who has been living in that property for longer or their family has been living in that same property for longer.
Yeah.
Unless... in Australia, unless your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents were all farmers and you have been inheriting the farm and living there, it would be very rare for you to have a connection with a plot of land that goes beyond a few decades.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas in the case of in the Middle East, because land is such a scarce resource and people they don't sell and buy land like we do. It's much more rare. Like here... Yeah, you're living in a house now. Maybe in 20 years you move to another one, maybe another one. We don't really have that connection. And again, what is a plot of land? It's just usually like a bare place of soil where you have your house standing on. We don't really have that connection. Whereas for them, we're talking about property that has been in their lineage, in their generations for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, interesting.
For 300, 400, 500 years. There's stories there. There are things, big events that happened. It's really as much as a part of our identity as anything. So for you to come back to your ancestral land and not to find your house available anymore, it's a pain that I don't think we are able to relate.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. So it's like this, well, hang on. This actually belongs to me. It's belonged to me for years and years and years in my family history, and now someone else is taking it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's kind of, to me, it's like I guess the way you could probably think about it in today's terms is like a family heirloom. Like, for example, some people might have, I don't know, jewelry of some kind or like a ring or something.
Or an instrument.
Like an instrument or maybe
a violin.
Like a watch or something like that that's been passed down from one head of the family to the next, or whatever, or from one person's, from the great-grandmother to the grandmother to the mother to the mother. Like all this kind of thing. It's been passed down for ages and ages. And then all of a sudden it's like someone else has just kind of taken it and is claiming it as theirs. And it's like, whoa. This is not yours at all. You're not even part of the family. Why are you claiming this is yours? Like, that's ridiculous, So that's probably how this.
Do you have such an heirloom object in your family?
I don't, but I have a friend who does actually. He has a signet ring that's got his family crest on it, and it's been passed down from his, I think it was maybe his great-grandfather or his grandfather, and then it was passed down to his dad, and then his dad passed it down to him. So, like, it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
It's pretty cool.
So she comes up and she said, I'm going to complain. And she goes to the king. She said, I'm going to go to the king, and I'm going to appeal for him. Now, she hasn't been there, but while that was all going on, Gehazi, for some reason, was having a meeting with the king.
Yeah.
And the king said, hey, Gehazi, can you share with me some of the cool stories about Elisha?
Yeah.
Now, there is a question mark arising in your face here, and I think I know why, but I would like for you to tell me why.
Because I was thinking, okay, the previous couple of chapters that we've been looking at, the king is like, man, all my problems are coming from Elisha.
Yes.
Every problem I've had, man, if
all his fault.
These poor women are eating their own children, it's all Elisha's fault, like all this kind of stuff. And so then now for him to be like, okay, tell me all the cool stories of Elisha.
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it?
Like, what happened?
It is very weird. King Jehoram would be asking and be interested about Elisha. Another thing that would be weird is that why is he with Gehazi? Gehazi, the Bible said that he had leprosy, not only him, but all his descendants. An Israelite king would not have anything to do with a leprous man.
That's true.
What is happening here?
It's a bit of a strange kind of
a strange thing. And look, and this is the key to understand that is that this story probably happened before the episode with Naaman. So the stories in the Bible are not often organized in chronological order.
Right.
Sometimes they are organized by themes.
Yeah.
Or by other elements, not just purely chronological order.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
And even the translation here, because we look at the beginning, in some translations says, then Elisha spoke to the woman whose son, but my translation says, now Elisha spoke to the woman. But the it's just the Hebrew word here is the conjunction vav. Vav just can mean just end, for example.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Elisha spoke to the woman.
Right.
So that story is there, but not necessarily in chronological order from like the siege of Samaria and all these things that we have been reading. That story happened before. We're seeing a flashback here in time.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
It is time for our quiz answer. That we were split 50-50 between who's got the right answer here. So, Producer Shell, what is that phrase? Is it from the Bible? This too shall pass.
No, this one is from my mother.
We've got that sound effect as well, actually.
Phrase, I tell you.
I know.
No.
It's not from the
It is
Bible.
not in the Bible.
It's
this
not
one.
from the Bible.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was wrong.
Team Skafy for the win this morning.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was a difficult one. I was like, I know what, maybe it's buried there somewhere where I cannot think, but I couldn't remember.
That I was thinking is in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3,
Yeah.
where Solomon's like,
There's a
to
time for
everything
everything.
there is a
Time,
season,
yeah.
a time for every purpose under heaven, time to be born, time to die. Like all this.
The
blank.
concept, I would say the concept is biblical. The exact phrase is not.
Yeah.
And sometimes with these Bible or not questions, this is what we have. We have something that is very biblical, but not necessarily in the Bible. So the concept is there, like you said. I think you're right. Yeah, these two shall pass is great because a lot of things sometimes that are going on, particularly, my first time that I got in contact with that phrase was when I was reading books about raising children. When we were expecting our first children. So now I'm going to read books and prepare myself. And talking about toddlers and tantrums and so on, like the lady in one of the books that I was reading, she used to always say, look, remember, these two shall pass. Like, it's not going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
Just like, let
As
it roll
long
over.
as you deal with it.
Yeah.
Or else it will be there forever.
Yeah. If you,
With children.
That's right. As long as you don't encourage it to keep happening.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're going to mature.
What's the next question that you have for us, Producer Shell?
Where was Paul when he had a vision that he needed to stay? He then stayed for 1.5 years, according to Acts 18. Where was he?
Man.
He was told, stay. And so he stayed for 1.5 years. I think you can get it. You'll be good. Let's do it. 0491064669.
I've got a feeling I'm wrong.
You're both wrong.
Yep.
Different answers. You can tell the listener so that they won't say
It's
the
not
same.
Ephesus.
Not Macedonia.
Okay,
No.
there you go.
There is a Bible book named after this place.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that should narrow it down. All right. So where was Paul when he had a vision that he needed to stay? He then stayed for 1.5 years, according to Acts chapter 18. 0491 064 669.
Well done,
That
Elliot.
was a lucky guess.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. That one was definitely not fresh in my mind at all.
There you go. Lucky guess, I guess.
Help us here to find out the answer to that one. 0491 064 669. All right, Elliot, let's get back here to our Bible study because, so while this all was happening, the lady had a problem. It's like, I need my property back. I need my house back, my lands back.
Yeah.
There's just someone occupying it, and that person will not just willingly give it back to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only 7 years. I mean, it was not that she came back 40 years later.
Yeah, true.
So the person that's like, you snooze it, you lose it. And she was not happy with that. So he came to claim her rights before the king. It's an interesting thing. Remember when Elisha asked the lady, "Oh, is there anything I can do for you? Can I, talk about you on your behalf for the king?" Or remember what her response was?
No, what was it?
She said, "I dwell among my own people." Kind of say, "Look, don't need to worry about me."
Okay.
And she had direct access to the king here. She was a woman of means.
Yeah.
And she could
okay.
go straight to the king for with her problem. But while she was on the way, so the king had no idea that the lady had that issue, maybe not even that she came back to the country. He was having conversation with Gehazi before Gehazi fell from grace, if I can say it like that. And I know there's some people don't like that phrase, falling from grace.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with it, to be honest. But before Gehazi fell from grace, he was having a chat with the king, and the king was curious and say, "Hey, can you please tell me all the great things that Elisha has done, like the miracles and everything?"
Yeah.
And then as he was relating to the king that, hey, there's this one time that, Elisha brought a boy back to life.
Yeah.
And he's, I think he was sharing the story. Look, this, he spoke about this lady. There's this lady. She was very kind, and she built my master Elisha an apartment, a little room, so he could stay. She never asked for anything. Then my master came to me and says, "Hey, Gehazi, can you try to figure out what this lady needs?" And I said, "Hey, I think that she wants a baby." And Elisha then prophesied that she would have a baby. God gave her a baby because she was old already. Her husband was advanced in years. Actually, the Bible does say that.
Okay.
And she had this baby, but then a few years later, the boy had this headache. He was not feeling well, and he died at his mother's arms. She took the donkey. She came to us. She didn't tell me what was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to rebuke her from kneeling down and bowing down at my master's feet because we're trying to keep the distance. And he said, no, let her be because there's something bothering her. And the Lord hasn't revealed to me what it was. And then the lady told my master what happened, how her son had just died, and that she wouldn't go anywhere unless Elisha would go with her. So Elisha gave me his staff and says, "Gehazi, go in front and lay the staff on top of the boy's body." And so I did. I ran full speed. And when I got there, I placed Elisha's staff on top of the boy's body. And I was totally thinking that something was going to happen, that on the power of God, on the power of Elisha's staff, just like when Moses opened the Red Sea with his staff, I thought the boy was going to come back to life, but nothing happened. And when my master Elisha came in, he entered the room, he closed the door behind him, he laid on the boy's body at first, and nothing happened, but he could tell that the boy's body was starting to get warmer. And then he prayed to the Lord, and he did that again. His hand in the boy's hand, his head against the boy's head, his nose against his nose, his mouth against his mouth. And all of a sudden, the boy started sneezing 7 times, and he came back to life. And just like that, God has reversed a death. And while he was sharing that story, right at when he finished, right after he said, the king said, "Amen," the door opens. The woman comes in. And so she relates to the king what happened in the Bible. And then the Bible says here that the Gehazi said, "My king, you won't believe. You remember the story that I was telling you about? The lady that just had her boy being raised back to life? That's the lady.
Yeah.
She's just here." Do you think it was a coincidence, my friend?
I think probably not.
Probably not. I think it's certainly not. I mean, this is not a coincidence. I say this is a Jesus incidence.
Jesus incidents.
Of course, yeah. God was orchestrating all of these things,
And
he does it.
intervention.
Divine appointments.
Yeah.
Have you had divine appointments before?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yes. This is one of the coolest things about walking with Jesus.
Yeah.
You start having these divine appointments all the time. You have a big need, and unbeknownst to you, even before you set out to find a solution, God is already working in the background
Yeah.
to help you out.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome how that happens. Do you
Isn't
have
that
any
pretty awesome?
stories where that's happened to you at all?
Look, I absolutely. I'm thinking here if I can think of one of like the timing. I have one here that just comes from the top of my mind.
Okay.
I had a friend of ours And she was diagnosed with a very aggressive and rare form of cancer.
Really?
Yeah, super aggressive, super rare. It was a breast cancer, but it was not just the typical one. It was in the connective tissue around. It's called a sarcoma.
Okay.
Very aggressive. And the indication was like it was already spreading, so it was not a good thing.
Yeah, wow.
And she was going to her surgery. And I've been, we've been ministering to her and just journeying alongside with her, praying for her, visiting and sharing some encouraging words from the scriptures. And she was very appreciative of that. She was not a believer at that point. I mean, she's not a Christian. I don't think she would identify as a Christian, but she believed in God.
Okay.
And she believed that God could help her. And I was on the morning of the surgery, I was praying to God. And I was asking God, I'm praying for my friend, and I was praying for her. That I was praying for the success of the surgery. I was asking God, is there anything that you want me to do? And I had this impression, very strong impression, which I believe was given by the Holy Spirit. There is a picture that was drawn, and I think by an Aussie artist, which is Jesus in the operating room.
Okay.
So it is a drawing, beautiful drawing, I think in oil on canvas. And there is a surgeon undergoing a surgery. And next to surgeon, Jesus is there guiding his hands and kind of guiding the mind of the surgeon. It's a beautiful picture.
Okay.
And that picture came to my mind. I said, I'm going to send that picture to her. Now, unbeknownst to me, at that time, she was already getting ready to the surgery. And when you get ready to the surgery, you don't take your cell phone with you. You cannot take your cell phone with you to the surgery.
Yeah.
It's a zone that you cannot import, bacteria, viruses, and things from your everyday objects. And she was already there. But something happened that she was allowed or required to really briefly get back to her cell phone for some reason, which I don't recall now.
Interesting.
And she got her cell phone, and at the very second that she got her cell phone, for just like a split second, my message popped in with the photo of Jesus
Wow.
in the operating surgeon. And then she said this was the last image that she saw before going to the surgery, before she was knocked out by the anesthetics and everything. And she said that she was feeling very nervous. And she was praying to God and, and thinking, oh, God, I'm so nervous. Can you please be with me? Can you please help me? And then the next thing she does, she gets herself from where she's not supposed to normally. And when she opens it up, there is a picture of Jesus aiding the surgeon's hand.
Yeah.
Right before she goes into the surgery. And she said when she saw that picture, which was the last thing that she saw before the lights were off, before she fell into the general anesthesia, she said that, God gave her a smile and she felt at peace. Like, wow, God is looking after me. So that's just one example.
That's awesome. That's such an awesome story.
And look, there's certainly lots of times. And perhaps you have a time that you can think of, radio friend, that this has happened to you. And if that's the case, if you have had a divine appointment and you want to share, well, you can text us to 0491-064-669, and we can read your experience on air here. But this divine appointment is one of the things that I love about God.
Yeah.
God knows our needs before we ourselves know, and he's working on our behalf even before we ask.
Yeah.
That's the God that we serve.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the God in heaven. He really, really cares. And in some ways that we don't even understand. And that story, I think it's there so we could know, it could be assured that sometimes when things happen, it's like, oh, what a coincidence. Oh, what? Well, you know what? I don't really believe in coincidence. I think that coincidence maybe for like tiny, small, little things, but for these life-changing encounters in life, there's a God that is in control.
Yeah.
That's why I like to say that's not a coincidence. This is a Jesus incident.
Yeah. That's cool. I really like it. And it's cool because at the end of the story, I don't even think we read the end of the story.
Because as I said, my Lord, this is the lady. I was just telling the story, and here she is.
Yeah.
And then when the king saw her, he asked the woman, she told him the story. So the king said, restore to the lady all that was hers and all the produce of the field from the day that she left the land even until now.
Yeah, wow.
So all of the harvest that happened on her land for these 7 years, just King said, look, estimate how much it was and pay her back.
Yeah.
So she left. God took care of her during the famine, and when she came back, God took care of her when she could.
Yeah, wow.
Back. God restored to her all the things that she lost. And I think this is something that we can. There's a promise in the Bible. I once met a lady. She was in her 90s.
Wow.
And she had been actually she grew up as a Catholic her entire life, but then she started reading the Bible and she found out the truths about the Sabbath and the second coming of Jesus, the three angels' messages. So she said, wow, I want to get baptized and I want to be a part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She learned about baptism, like as a decision that you make. This is not something that is common in Catholic church and doctrine. It's very rare. Normally you get baptized as an infant, not as an adult.
Yeah.
But she said, look, I want to be baptized and I want to be part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And she still considered herself a Catholic at heart. But she said, look, I've been learning so many new things about Jesus. I have to walk on these things. And she was baptized. A friend of mine baptized her. She was in early 90s, late 80s, but full of energy, that lady, man. Like she was an absolute dynamo. And I was chatting with her. She was sharing with me how God had been good to her entire life. But then she had a bit of a tone of sorrow in her voice. And she said, you know what, I think I wasted so many of my years not really serving the Lord, not really working for Him, and I feel bad about it. And the Lord at that moment, I think he gave me a scripture to share with her. There's a scripture in the Bible. The Bible says that God is going to restore all of the years that the locusts have eaten. I think this is in Amos, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Producer Shell can help me find out which Bible passage talks about it. The Lord, when God says that He's going to restore all of the years that the locusts have eaten, so I can share the reference. And I shared that with her, and I said, sister, all of those years, God is going to use them for His purpose. You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
God can. I do not know how many. No, she's like what God has in store for you, but God is able to make up, to compensate, and to pay back for all those years that you spent outside from the Lord, in sincerity but in ignorance. God is able to restore back. So when people are coming back to the Lord and think, man, I wasted my life, I squandered it with drugs, with parties, with this, with that, with bitterness, with anger, all these kinds of things. Yeah. Hey, it's okay. Don't need to feel too bad about it. Yes, repent about it, change your ways. But you know what? God is able to give back all of those years.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. This is in the book of Joel, by the way. Thanks, Producer Shell. Producer Shell just confirmed to me that's the prophecy in Joel. The Lord will restore to you the years that have been eaten by the locusts.
I love it. All right, there you go. Now, what's the question? Answer.
Yeah, that's right. So we were wondering about where was Paul when he had the vision that he needed to stay in this city, and he stayed there for a year and a half longer. And we can find that in Acts chapter 18, and the place that he stayed was Corinth.
Corinth. There you go. Okay. Well, I didn't know that one. No, I didn't remember it.
I just had a stab in the dark with that.
Had a stab in the dark? Wow.
Yep. When you said it's one of the books.
Yeah, that's right. It does
narrow
it down a bit.
Yeah. That's very nice. There you go. Paul wanted to leave. God says, no, you stay put.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Producer Shell. We are moving along with our show today. We're going to be sharing a story about a rescue dog that rescued his rescuer. How cool is that? We're also going to be looking at a video released yesterday by Robert Kennedy Jr., handling a snake. What is that all about? That's going to be very interesting because this is not the only wild thing that he has done in his life. We're going to be looking at John Hammond today. Our interview is going to be with him. He's an Asian aid volunteer.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.